Hello everybody. Today we're gonna discuss about the topic of globalization, and for that we have referred to a video of the World Economic Forum, where five different panelists from different areas of the country just sit together and they talked about the globalization. And globalization is not a new term in discussion. It was before as well when the globalization was launched around 2 years ago, and it's a kind of a third version of the globalization. It's the globalization 4.0. That means they have amended some things, they added some new things, and they just want to renovate things in terms of globalization. I have my group members with me. That's Shahid Yusuf and Nitish Drashti and myself Hassan. And these were the five panelists who were sitting in that World Economic Forum while discussing about the Globalization 4.0. First of all is Julie Bishop from the Member of Parliament of Australia, William Burns, the President of International Peace Department USA, and then is Yoriko Kawaguchi, and the professor from Japan, and Miroslav is from the Slovak Republic, and Susana she's from Argentina. So all the panelists were discussing about the globalization 4.0, that what are the challenges and what we have achieved in terms of the globalization. So the thing is that globalization means a unitary rule of law that holds the world together, that produces a framework, a common ground, that how world should proceed in terms of interconnected trading, interconnected movements, services and goods. And in those terms, they were made some general rules, a set of rules that were meant to be implemented by all the countries, and that was named as globalization. So, as it's clear by definition, that globalization is a process by which the world is becoming interconnected as a result of massive increase in trade and cultural exchange. So that means if the globalization is allowing the countries to support each other, to cooperate with each other in terms of their services, in terms of their goods, in terms of their innovations, everything. They can share, even they can share their development. They can share their issues, and they can tackle them together. And globalization has increased the production of goods and services. The increment in production of the goods and services means that if the company is producing goods in a country, and then globalization has come, and that means that company can provide its goods to some other country as well. So the demand has increased, and that means they have produced. There will be an increment on the production as well. The biggest companies are no longer national firms, but multinational corporations with subsidiaries in many countries. That means the big firms, they were just congested in one or two countries, and because of the globalization, they can approach different parts of the world. Like if we look at the big companies like car manufacturer companies or technology companies, they have their head offices in some most developed countries in the world like USA, UK, but they have their sub offices in developing countries and underdeveloped countries as well. That means the lower developed or underdeveloped countries, the people, they can approach the services provided by the company as well. So that is a fruit that we have achieved because of the globalization. So, there are three eras of globalization. We have discussed about globalization 4.0, but there were three globalization eras before as well. These eras are like three versions of globalization. First one was the globalization 1.0. It was pre-World War globalization. That was because of the historic drop in trade costs when steam and other forms of mechanical power made it economical to consume goods made far away. That means at that time countries realized that they are producing goods, but there is a lack in trade. There is a lack in the rules so that the countries can share their goods and services with other countries. So to fulfill that requirement, the different people from different organizations of the different countries just sat together, and they just talk about the things that what should we do to enhance our trades with others. And this globalization was absolutely separate from the government involvement. There was no government involvement in that. And then the globalization 2.0 was the past World War. It was another version of the globalization, where the trade in goods was combined with the complementary domestic policies. So this was the same policy of the globalization, but this time around there was a government involvement in there to make the policies, to implement the policies. So this means that whatever the country will achieve, whatever the country will lose, it will be shared between the countries which are implementing the globalization in their part of the world. The globalization 3.0 was the recent one before this one, globalization 4.0. It is called the new globalization or hyper globalization by an Indian economist. Another person called it the global value chain. That means the key to that globalization now means factories crossing borders, and critically the know-how of G7 firms along with them. That means, and this was the latest globalization before this globalization 4.0. In this, the companies were not only exchanging goods and services they provide, but although they were crossing the borders to move the manufacturing units in the other countries. Like if the country was producing goods in some developed country like USA, in globalization 2.0, it can share its products with other countries. But after globalization 3.0, the company can add another manufacturing unit in another country. So that was the main difference between globalization, difference between globalization 3.0 and 2.0. And also the G7 firms were also exchanged between the countries. G7 are just a group of 7 countries which are the world most developed economies, which make like 54% of the global wealth. And because of the globalization 3.0, all these 7 countries, which are most developed one, they could share their firms and their industries with the countries which are not developed as well. So this was a good achievement to the globalization of the 3 eras.
So now we talk about impacts of globalization. So due to globalization, there are some benefits and some risks over the world. So what are the benefits over the globalization? So first of all, we will talk about technological innovation. Due to globalization, we have some we do some technological innovation. If we innovate some in new technology in the corner of one world, so we can use all over the world. So if we talk about automobile industry, if we make a new car in USA or in UK, so we can use also in India or in another countries. Like over the other hand, if we talk about IT section, if we use another app or another software, so we can use over the world. After this, foreign direct investment. According to this investment, means if we invest some money or some our investment over the world, we can use over the world. But before globalization, we use only on a particular in country. If I talk about if I'm in Indian, before globalization, if I want to save my money or my investment in the country, so I have no other choice to save my money over the world. But after this, I can invest my money or my currency over the world. After this, economic scale. Due to globalization, the economic scale is increased. Before this, our economy is very poor. After the globalization, it is increased. It is not about one country. All the countries will increase their economy due to this globalization. So, what are the risks over the globalization? First of all, interdependence. Interdependence means if what happens in one country, so what are the other effects over the other country due to one country effect? If we talk about if there are.
So what basically he's trying to explain is that because of the globalization, if there are some benefits, there are some drawbacks as well. So in the benefits, we did mention that the technological development, just the incomes and investments. These are the areas which have been improved because of the globalization. But on the other hand, there is interdependency. That means one country is dependent on other countries in terms of so many areas. If a country, if a people of a country is working in another country, so if something happens to them, that's not only gonna affect the host country, that's gonna affect the country where these people are from. So that means the interdependency increases. So if the system goes well, all is well. But if there is some problem in some part of the world, it's gonna affect the other parts as well.
Yeah, exactly. After this, what are the panel discussion? The discussion which are the discussed issue in these videos are like education agenda and goals. After this term, that is globalization, over the countries, the education system is better, economic sector is better, and migration. Deal with migration means if we want to job in another country, so we have the after some time we will all face the Brexit. If we talk about Brexit, it means before Brexit, there are some countries who don't have any visa for going in another country for work, for study, and another for business visa. But after Brexit, we all have to want visa for that purpose, for every person, like study, education, improvement over the health. If we before globalization, there are some countries who are poor in health, but after that, we will increase our health system. We have increased our health system. So, what are the conflicts over issues? That's first of all, if we talk about government approach. So, what do you think about?
That means the panelists discussed some conflicts that some of the areas where the panelists were not agreed on. So one of them was the government approach. That one of the panelists said that the government should be like making the rules, and they should sit on some common ground, and people should follow the rules. And one of the other panelists said that the people should enforce the government to have the political will to make the legislation so that the people are happy with the rules, and they are very happy to follow them. So that was one of the issues that the panelists were not agreed on. And the second thing was the public involvement. And talking about public involvement, one of the panelists said that the public should just follow the legislation that is formed by the higher authorities, the higher body of the country. And but some said that people, one of them said that people should like participate what rules they wanna implement, what rules they want to implement in their own country. So people should enforce the governing bodies so that the legislation made by them are accepted easily by the people.
Yeah. Now, after all this discussion of the topic Globalization 4.0, the panelists have just addressed too many issues and the work they have done so far. So now I'll discuss about the discourse of the panel. So the first point I would like to discuss the goals have been achieved till date. So the human development is one of the biggest achievement we have done so far in the field of education, health, poverty is reduced, and the standard of living is increased because of international trading. Of course, international trading is this phenomena which is introduced in last 20 years in all over the world. International trading is increasing and spreading all over the world. The multinational companies are investing in every countries and making the trade, import and export businesses. Because of that, all countries having their economic global increment. And the multinational companies operations is the bigger companies automotive companies, technological sectors and
IT
other IT sectors. So these companies are investing in small countries, having their branch in all over the world,
Yeah.
and making the more opportunities of employment and and spreading their businesses. So it's like it's helping all over the it's helping the people to develop and have the better way of standard of living. So free movement of goods and services. Of course, the free movement of goods or services, it's like the custom duties and the import export of the all goods and services is like increased nowadays, and taxes are also reduced. So that's because of that all people, like the common people, middle class people, having the all opportunity, all the facilities and goods stuffs they can use. And because of that, like global approach of business and trading and the employment, the poverty is ultimately reduced. So what goals still need to be achieved is like we have to redefine a way of we are moving forward. Like we have to work together so that we can achieve a better future. It's like
Basically, redefine the way we move forward means like there are a set of rules already made by the authorities. There is no need to create another institution, create another set of rules. It's just like we need to start thinking that how we're gonna implement these rules and this legislation in the future. How we make all the participants to work on them. So that's the main aim from here on. That was the discussion that the panelists was agreed at that it should be done in the future. And the second thing was the institutional arrangement should be broadened. That means the institutions are already there. The United Nations has so many institutions regarding so many issues, but those institutions are just conserved within some countries or within some areas. So we just need to broaden their approach. We just need to give them approach to the underdeveloped country, to the war zones, and to the most deserving parts of the world, so that those institutions can work for the welfare of the people and should actually work what they mean to be.
so how they will achieve all these goals in future. So the stakeholder involvement and engagement to all over equally is very important factor according to this. So stakeholder must invest all their investment in equally all over the world, so that everybody will
Actually, this means that the stakeholders are the people who are involved in the legislation, who are involved in making the rules. So whatever set of rules are made in the globalization, in terms of the globalization by the United Nations, whatever rules they make, they should involve all the countries. Like it cannot be done like 2-3 countries make the rules and it can be implemented all over the world. So whatever the rules are to be implemented all over the world, all the stakeholders, the countries that are to be implement the rules should take part in that legislation, in that rule making authority. And the second thing is that the utilization of the institution we created. That means like the institutions that have been made by the United Nations should be utilized.
in the proper way, and like we have to proper utilize and proper structure of make the structure of like making
Like
it in the
basic
practical
framework,
Yeah,
so that
practical.
it can be
Yeah.
it can be practical, and
Yeah.
the institutions should try and do what they are supposed to do. And so that means that will be done, like if the political parties just support and back the institutions, and they give them approach to the common people, and common people also support the cause. So that should be the way to utilize the institutions.
So after all this discussion and the addressed issues and the globalization 4.0, we have just noticed some ignored issues over this conference. So one of the ignored issue is like leadership, lack of leadership. So we need a politicians or the leaders who are willing to confront the cheaters, and one of the biggest problem is that our trading partners are manipulating their currencies against unfair prices advantage, which increases their export and decreases their imports. So this illegal the rules of the basic taxation, export, and like which is we are lacking behind. So we have to find, because we have to find make a leaders team from all over the world to who will get the right decision and make it to the practical. So it should not be the only the thinking, and we are like discussing all the issues and like just addressing. It should not be limited only in the thoughts, it should be in the practical way. So for that, balance trading in the budget. So the main thing in this is we have to balance the trading of all over the world. Like for example, USA and China have having the 500
the biggest amount of the
biggest
trade
amount of the trading
between two
as
countries in
compared
the
to
world.
any other countries.
Yeah.
So it should be equally distributed so that every country will get their opportunity to make business and will grow their economy, so that ultimately the standard of living and the facility, education, health will increase.
And the third thing is the trade agreements, that there should be a trade agreement between the countries. Like it shouldn't be like one country is manufacturing a lot and one country is just buying a lot. It should be like some sort of agreements between the countries, that if some country is buying something from another country, that country should be bound to buy something from that country to equalize things, to just make out a balance, so that that country doesn't go too below the rate of the development. So these are the sort of trade agreements that should be made, and the panelists were not discussing these three issues according to our point of view, which should have been done as part of the globalization.
So finally we conclude that globalization is a worldwide phenomenon which accepted the most of the countries in the world, but the challenges in the implication of the unitary set of rules are quite acceptable. Globalization has a various definition, but according to me, as a student, I am here studying in UK and we are presenting this topic. So where globalization is basically abolish the barriers of border of educational research and technology implementation. So future will be bright if some common grounds are achieved through some acceptable way of legislation.
So, in as a conclusion, I would like to say that the globalization is something that everyone wants, but to achieve this, they should work together. They should have some sort of agreement that which is acceptable, which is implementable all over the world. So this is the topic of globalization that we try to cover, and through watching the video of the World Economic Forum, we try to critique the point of view that they produce, and we just try to add our own opinion regarding what should have been talked about and what they talked about actually.
Yeah.
So this brings us to the end of our presentation, and thank you so much for watching. And these are the references that we use for the presentation. Thank you so much.